And you're going to twist your foot back and forth this way, with the heel basically grinding into the floor. And you want to make sure that you're moving it at the hip. You don't want to just move your foot. The whole leg should move as you do this. So you're hitting all the little hip flexor muscles. Now the third one that I do is inward drop and lift. This one's difficult to do as well, for a different reason. It looks like I am swinging the weight around like this. But that's not what is happening. For those of you who have played the rubber ball flip cup game, that's what we're going for. So you're essentially taking the chi from the center, you're imagining it's in a pipe, and you're pulling it up out of the pipe. And instead of swinging the weight around, you want the weight to stay relatively where it is and move the handle underneath it to catch the weight. I really like this exercise. It's very explosive, and it really works this inward motion that helps with close range shots to the body especially, or these yanking collecting motions. So again, from the center, up through a pipe, drop the handle underneath. And then back down the pipe. Now, from that same kind of sumo squat, shikodachi position, you can move these to the backs of your wrist and press them outward as you sink. And I actually like to occasionally flip them and then do another exercise of some kind where they're extended, and then flip them back to do the sinking. Okay, so or nice, lots of power. Thank you, sir. Sensei Danny Bolden, yes. These are basics. These are the Kihon Gata, or basic forms. Kihon Ippon, basic number 1. Kihon Nihon, basic number 2. And Kihon Sanbon, basic number 3. These were developed by Chibana Chosen, the founder of my branch of Shorin-ryu, which is Kobayashi. They're very simple, but there's a lot in them. And I've actually done a webinar on this previously, on the mechanics of the kata, because right off the bat, you're learning evasion, you're learning loading body weight and driving your body weight through rotation. You're working an extended grab to control that's telling you that the whole purpose of that pulling hand, its whole function, is to grab something and pull it in. Very explicitly, first technique in the kata. Right? All of that to teach you evasion, power generation, hikite purpose. Right? May I ask, have you ever studied Japanese swords, katana? Yes, sir, I have. I have trained in Shinkageryu Iaijutsu. Not a lot, but I've trained in it some. And I've taken a seminar in Katori Shinto-ryu, but just one. But I've done a little bit. The answer to how I use this sequence in Shinto is generally from a clinch type position. I'm pulling some part of their body, usually their arm, as I'm striking and framing with this hand against their neck. All right, so let's say they're grabbing or clinching. I hug that to me, that's my hikite. All right, I hug that to me, strike into the neck and frame. All right, so that's our first bit. Then we have an elbow. Pretty self-explanatory. I strike the neck and frame, and I bring my hand over the top. Now I can either elbow to their head, where I can actually bring this as a punch. So again, they've grabbed, I pull this down, strike, I might be grab, bring this over as an elbow or an uppercut, grab their head and pull it down. Then there's the spin, right? Well, the spin is just a knee strike. But the knee strike is circular. So instead of going straight forward, you're going around. So generally I'd use that as a knee strike to the inside of the leg to knock it out, or even the outside of the leg, depending on how they're standing. So we're cranking their head and knee striking their leg out from under them. The thing is, if there's not a person to impact, how do you tell the student it's a round knee? You spin, right? So you pull their head in, knee strike. With no person there, you don't stop. The chief instructor of my first dojo liked to say that the instructor is supposed to be the brake, not the gas pedal. The student should be putting in as much effort as they can. The instructor is supposed to be there to keep an eye on them and make sure they don't overdo it. So I've taken that to heart. My Shorin-ryu sensei passed away in 2017 on this day. Then the Shihan of the same school passed away in 2019. And then the Shihan of my first dojo passed away this year. So unfortunately my lineage is starting to read like an obituary, which is hard sometimes. But, you know, try and keep following in their footsteps and seeking what they sought. All right? We don't want to just copy. We want to continue the journey. What bunkai or oyo would you give those? These are mostly takedowns. That's, for me, why we're leaning so far. Right? So that might be scooping under their leg and driving their upper body backward. Right? Like this. It might be, I've got an arm lock across my chest. This is pinching it. This is blocking their body a little bit so they can't step around. And I try to use the arm bar to throw them over. It can actually even be grabbing some part of the upper body, grabbing some part of the lower body, and trying to throw them this way. When you're doing it by yourself, you don't have that. So it's important when you're drilling by yourself, and this goes for kata as well. You have to do it while visualizing what you're doing. If you've done the drill on a person, you know exactly what it looks like, right? So imagine doing it while you're doing it. Studies have shown time and time again the value of visualization training in sports performance. There's nothing mystical or magical about it. It's psychological. That's how it works. If you visualize, you increase your performance. It's better if you tie your visualization to physical cues, such as working the drills by yourself.